They never reach out to you first. They do not say, "I love you" back right away or at the right moment. They go silent for several days and then return as if nothing has changed at all. You begin to wonder if they are simply distant by nature, but the real story is different. You fell for a person who made you feel that if you stayed calm enough, perfect enough, and easy enough, they would finally choose to remain with you for good. But the actual truth is clear. They did not truly leave you behind. They were simply never completely there from the start. Most people do not explain this part openly. They are not trying to stay away from you personally. They are protecting themselves from a deep feeling that love could make them lose their own identity. Once you really see this truth, you stop running after them. You stop making yourself smaller. You stop performing to win their attention. And in that moment, you turn into the one person they find hard to leave. If you want the real Jungian truth about why avoidants pull away and how to make them stay, hit like right now. Understanding their way of avoiding closeness is not about tricks or control. It is not games or manipulation at all. It comes from seeing their inner world at a deeper level. So you stop feeling like a danger to them and start becoming the safest place they have known in their life. Stay here with me, because this understanding will shift how you look at every relationship you have experienced before. If you have ever cared for someone who moved away the moment things felt real and close, write the word "safe" below. Let me ask you this question directly. Have you ever been in a connection where you always felt like you were a little too emotional, a little too needy, and a little too present for them? The harder you tried to come closer, the more they moved back, as if you were following them down a hallway that kept getting longer. You would share a wonderful moment together, a real laugh, a gentle touch, or a talk that felt honest. Then the next day, they would become distant, not in a cruel way, but simply gone behind their own wall. You would go over everything again and again in your thoughts. What did I say wrong? Was it something I did? Did I push too much or not enough? That endless cycle, that exhausting and confusing pattern that drains your spirit, is not a sign that you are losing your mind. That is what happens when you are with someone who has an avoidant way of connecting. Today, I want to explore something that might feel a bit unusual at first. I want to talk about the inner world of the avoidant person, their secret wishes, and the thing they desire more than anything but are scared to reach for. When you truly understand what drives their actions inside, not only the things you notice on the surface, everything begins to shift for you. You stop taking their behavior as something personal about your value. You stop linking it to whether you are worthy or not. And if you decide to remain in the relationship because you genuinely care, not because of the ups and downs, you will learn how to be there without setting off their biggest fears. Let us go further into this together. Comment "fantasy" if you've ever tried to love an avoidant, but they still disappeared. Who is this avoidant person at their core? We must first move past the idea that paints them as the villain, because many popular ideas have been unfair to them. People have made them seem like the emotionally closed one who confuses you and always walks away first while looking unbothered. That picture is not the full truth about them. That behavior comes from old pain and survival habits. Avoidant attachment is not a personal weakness or bad character. It is a way the mind and body learned to protect themselves long ago. When they were young, the avoidant child discovered that depending on others brought hurt. Their parents might have been cold or not emotionally close. Perhaps no one responded when they cried or showed fear. When they expressed needs or sadness, they were told to be quiet and grow up fast. So their system learned a clear lesson. Needing people equals pain. Therefore, they decided to stand alone. They became very independent and self-contained, so they would never have to rely on anyone again. For some time, this approach helped them. The child who stayed quiet received praise. The young person who never asked for comfort seemed strong and mature. The adult who never showed complaints looked simple and easy to be with. They shaped their whole sense of self around not needing support. Then they experienced real love, and the old walls started to crack. The deep truth about love is that you cannot connect in a meaningful way without needing the other person at some level. Type yes if you want to learn exactly how to play into an avoidant's deepest fantasy so they never leave. Genuine love that touches the heart and supports life needs some dependence, openness, and the brave step of saying, "I need you," while hoping they will not use it against you. For many people, this feels natural. For the avoidant, it feels risky because closeness brings up old alarms in their body and mind. Every warm feeling or connection makes their system warn them that pain will follow soon. It is the same hurt they tried to escape as a child. So they do the only thing they know and create distance again. They move away, not because their care is missing, but because they do feel something real. That makes it even harder for the person who loves them. You notice them pulling back and naturally feel worried. Your own system might read the space as rejection or proof you are not enough. So you try harder to reach them. You become more available and understanding, but this extra effort makes their inner alarm louder. They feel overwhelmed and rush to create even more space. This pattern between anxious and avoidant ways of connecting can wear down both sides if it continues without awareness. Now let us talk about what they really desire underneath the protection they carry. The avoidant person wants love more than they show. They want it fully and not from a safe distance. They dream of a partner who stays steady, who does not fall apart during their need for space, and who does not turn every quiet moment into heavy discussions about the bond. They long for someone who is truly fine on their own, not just pretending while counting missed replies. A person with their own full life, interests, and strong center. Someone who picks them from a place of wholeness instead of fear or old patterns. That is the real wish they hold inside. A partner so complete that the avoidant does not feel swallowed by the connection. They do not dislike love itself. They fear what love has taken from them in the past. Drop safe if you've ever become the one safe person an avoidant couldn't walk away from. If you can become the kind of person who makes love feel truly safe to experience and keep, you offer them something brand new. You show them that their old fears do not have to repeat. But I must be open with you here. There is no magic way to hold on to an avoidant by simply loving better. Many of us who fall into these patterns also play a part in them. We sometimes feel pulled toward unavailable people because it connects to our own early experiences. The chase, the changing closeness, and the rare warm moments can feel rewarding in a strange way. It links to old wounds where love had to be earned again and again. So when someone makes you work for their attention, it can feel known and familiar even when it brings pain. The real journey includes looking at yourself too. Why does this pattern keep showing up? What need is it filling inside you? Are you ready to write a different story? The avoidant imagines a bond that feels light and free, not because it lacks real depth, but because it does not bring pressure or suffocation. They want to return home without facing heavy emotions right away. They hope to enjoy their own time without it becoming a problem between you. They wish to care deeply without feeling trapped by that care. The painful irony is that chasing them confirms their fear that love is indeed a trap. When you truly step back with respect for your own life, not as a game, but from real self-worth, they begin to notice. They wonder where you went and what you are doing. For the first time, they receive space without having to force it. In that calm space, they breathe better and sometimes come back on their own. Not because you pulled them, but because you created a place that feels safe to return to. This is not about hiding your needs or pretending to be someone else. That would only drain you over time. Instead, it is about building a rich life where the relationship is important, but not your only source of happiness. When they become quiet, you do not spiral into doubt. You continue living your days fully. You avoid long explanations or many messages trying to fix things. You grow into real security in your own value. Avoidant people are quick to sense anything false because their system has always watched for threats. They notice if independence is only a mask. What touches them is genuine comfort with being alone while still wanting them. A person who sees the relationship as a beautiful addition to life rather than the whole center. That is the one they remember and return to. That is living proof that love does not have to take everything from them. Comment Jung if Carl Jung's psychology just opened your eyes about avoidance. They never initiate the movement toward you. They exist as a fixed point in the distance, waiting for you to cross the psychic bridge alone. When you offer the profound vulnerability of saying you love them, it falls into a silent chasm. The words do not return right away, nor do they arrive when the moment demands their presence. They vanish into a self-imposed exile for days, retreating into the internal woods, only to emerge later as if the continuity of time had never been broken, as if your heart had not been suspended in the void of their absence. You begin to rationalize this as nature, a mere personality trait of distance, but the archetypal reality is far more haunting. You have projected your desire for wholeness onto a person who whispered a silent, unconscious bargain. That if you could only remain calm enough, if you could shrink your needs until you were perfect and easy, they would finally choose to anchor themselves in your harbor. Yet, we must look into the mirror of truth. They did not truly abandon you, for they were never fully present to begin with. In the language of the collective unconscious, they are not away from you, they are away from the devouring threat of the other. Most will not speak this truth because it is buried in the shadow. They are not fleeing your personhood. They are barricading the gates of their own psyche against the terrifying suspicion that to love you is to be subsumed by you, that to be known is to lose the very boundary of the self. When you finally withdraw your projection, when you cease the frantic chase and refuse to make your soul smaller to fit their narrow corridors, a shift occurs. You stop performing for their gaze, and in that moment of individuation, you become the very enigma they cannot bear to lose. If you seek the Jungian marrow of why the avoidant retreats, and the alchemy required to transform that distance, hit like now. Understanding the mechanics of the avoidant attachment is not an exercise in manipulation or the dark arts of control. It is not a game played for power. Rather, it is a descent into the underworld of their inner landscape. It requires seeing the wounded child within them who views intimacy as a loss of oxygen. When you perceive this, you cease to be a danger to their autonomy and begin to manifest as the temenos, the sacred, safe space where their soul can finally rest without fear of being extinguished. Stay with me, for this gnosis will fundamentally transmute how you perceive every fractured connection of your past. If you have ever held space for someone who evaporated the moment the fire of closeness grew warm, write the word safe below. Let us confront the question that haunts your quiet hours. Have you existed in a dynamic where you felt too much, too emotional, too needy, too vibrant for the sterile environment they maintained? The more you attempted to bridge the gap, the more the hallway of your connections seemed to stretch toward infinity, a literal manifestation of the Zeno's paradox of the heart. You would share a moment of genuine anima connection, a laugh that broke the surface, a touch that felt like home, a dialogue of startling honesty. And then, the inevitable enantiodromia. The next day, they have swung to the opposite pole. They are gone. Not with malice, but behind a psychological wall so thick it seems made of stone. You find yourself trapped in a labyrinth of self-analysis, a neurosis born of their silence. What was my transgression? Was I too bold? Was I too hesitant? This exhausting, soul-draining cycle is not a reflection of your inadequacy. It is the natural reaction of a psyche trying to find its footing in the shifting sands of an avoidant bond. Today, we shall explore the unspoken libido of the avoidant, the secret, buried desires of a person who craves the very intimacy they spend their entire lives defending against. We are looking for the gold in their shadow, the thing they desire more than life itself, but fear more than death. There exists a rhythmic, tidal quality to the avoidant psyche, an unconscious oscillation between the fortress and the field. There are profound moments when their internal systems, having retreated into the safety of the subterranean, begin to thaw and open toward the light once more. Most who wander this labyrinth commit the fundamental error of the pursuer archetype. They chase during the silence, inadvertently reinforcing the avoidant's need for the barricade, thereby extending the exile. Yet, when you anchor yourself in the center of your own being, living with a stoic, radiant calmness, the natural opening inevitably arrives. They look out from their watchtower, and finding no predator at the gates, they succumb to a genuine curiosity. They reach out, not because they have changed, but because the psychic environment you have cultivated makes returning feel possible without the catastrophic loss of the self. This is not the dark art of control. It is a profound, Jungian respect for the limitations of a nervous system shaped by early wounding. To relate to the avoidant is to walk through a landscape of hidden triggers where every misstep can cause a withdrawal. We must understand that repeated inquisitions regarding the state of the union or the depth of their feeling act as a psychic weight, a heavy, suffocating pressure that forces them back into the shadow. When every dialogue is redirected toward the bond, they begin to perceive the relationship not as a source of life, but as a relentless problem complex that requires constant fixing. When the silence descends, the most potent alchemical response is not more reaction, but the gift of absolute space. To send long, emotionally charged manifestos is to flood a house that has no drainage. They may have never developed the internal structures to process such intensity in their formative years. When you must express your hurt, do so with the surgical precision of the logos. Simple, direct, and stripped of the sprawling explanations that center exclusively on your own suffering. This is not a dismissal of your emotional reality. Rather, it is an acknowledgement that in the economy of avoidant intimacy, timing and volume are the currencies of being heard. There are restorative actions to be taken as well. Offer the sanctuary of space before they are forced to demand it. Demonstrate a genuine interest in the contents of their mind without the demand for immediate, articulated answers. Remain the steady point in their turning world, maintaining your equilibrium even when the winds of uncertainty howl. You must maintain the integrity of your own microcosm. Your work, your passions, and your social tribe must remain vibrant and autonomous. By doing so, you cease to be a satellite orbiting their moods and instead become a person of profound depth and attraction. When they eventually emerge from their distance, greet them with a warm, sun-like disposition, devoid of the punitive shadow. Let them experience the revelation that returning carries no hidden tax, no emotional debt. Yet, for this transformation to take root, you must perform the painful ritual of killing the hope, releasing the infantile dream of an effortless intimacy where the avoidant reaches out first and the waters of closeness never recede. Clinging to that archaic hope is a form of self-entrapment. It is a slow erosion of the soul. Understanding the avoidant's internal architecture while maintaining a fierce self-respect is the only path to a real connection. To shrink your spirit, to diminish your light just to become easier or less threatening in the hope of winning their love, is a tragic path towards psychic dissolution. You deserve a vessel where your feelings are welcome, not carefully measured out in drops. Share this gnosis with those who find themselves perpetually drawn to the emotionally unavailable. For awareness is the first step of the great work. If the individual is engaged in the heavy lifting of therapy and conscious effort, then your understanding is a sacred gift to their evolution. But if you find yourself the sole architect of the connection, if they occupy the space you give them only to build higher walls, then you are no longer relating. You are merely waiting in a stagnant purgatory. At some point, you must confront the mirror and ask, whose life am I living? The avoidant person is capable of migrating toward a secure union only when they encounter a partner who refuses to validate their ancient fears, standing instead as a testament to a love that neither devours nor deserts. A partner with their own complete life, who stays warm without chasing, can slowly soften those alarms. The avoidant starts to believe closeness can be safe, and staying does not mean losing their identity. This change is deep and meaningful when both sides do their inner work. If you love someone with this pattern, remember their distance is about their old survival system, not about your value as a person. You cannot heal them with more love or effort alone. Focus first on your own security and growth. Know when the pattern is repeating old pain for both of you. Set clear boundaries about what you need too. You can offer a healing presence, but you cannot do their work for them. The true avoidant wish is a relationship that gives freedom to love while keeping their sense of self. If this is shifting how you handle your avoidant partner, comment "shift" below. If you can be grounded and full so the bond adds to your life instead of emptying it, you become the rare proof they needed. Love does not have to repeat the old fears. If this message reached you and helped you see things more clearly, write the word "safe" in the comments. Share that you are here and doing the inner work. Remember, you are never alone in this journey, even when it feels that way. Like, comment your biggest takeaway, and subscribe to learn how to play to their fantasies so they never leave you.